Hello guys, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to paint your deck. So this is a deck on a summer house, 31 square meters, and if you take a closer look now you can see that the paint is well worn away, so we need to replace that, renew it. I'm going to take you through all those steps. Guys, take a look at my big deck. It's a very big deck and it's a beautiful big deck. And yeah, if you look down here, it's gone bloody green. Can't have a green deck. So we have to clean that off. If you look over here, I got started, but I got interrupted and that was a bit embarrassing. So yeah, we're going to need a jet washer. A jet washer. We're going to need something strong and powerful to blast all that green off my deck. Terrible accent, bro. Yeah, sorry guys, it's been a long time since I've been in New Zealand. Absolutely shocking. Shocking. Need to work on that accent. Anyway, so what we got here is the two different types of lance that will typically come with a jet washer. And it's up to you. If you really want to get rid of stubborn stains, you've got the, I believe it's called the Tornado lance on the right. That's a bit more powerful than the adjustable one on the left, but it could do a bit of damage to the wood. So I gave it a go. And if you look at this picture, you're going to see that it's actually churned up some of the wood fibers. So that was the Tornado one. So we don't want to be using that. It's a bit too harsh. Kind of worrying how easy this paint's coming off, isn't it? The only thing I can think of is that the paint hasn't bonded because the timber was too wet. Now, this timber was laid green. It was allowed to dry out for a couple of months in decent weather, but maybe that wasn't quite enough. You really probably should leave it for a good 6 months, but I think the client was keen to get to use the deck and wanted it painted ASAP. So, there's always that factor to deal with. But I did also want to know why the paint had faded so much. It has been a good 2.5 years since it was originally painted. I went back to Ronseal and they said it was only meant to last a season, basically 1 year, because it's a quick dry version. I would have expected it to look better than that, but anyway, we've bought the better product this time, and it's obviously definitely had time to dry out now over a couple of years, so it should be good to go. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is take you through the steps of how you're actually going to rejuvenate this deck. So step one is going to be to clean the deck, and you're going to do that with a jet washer. If the paint's in good condition, it should just clean all the muck and the dirt off without stripping the paint. Now, ironically, Ronseal and all the other manufacturers do suggest every time you strip back to wood, which is a gargantuan task to actually do that, and the amount of mess that must create. So I would avoid that at all costs. That would be a massive job. Think about 4 hours jet washing this as opposed to a day cleaning up all that mess. So I'm going to try and avoid that if I can. In this case, as I say, the paint's coming off anyway and it's going to leave blotchy bits, so I've got to remove it all. Second step is going to be to rough out with a bit of sandpaper, even down in the gaps, just to give it a little bit of a key for the paint, just like you would do with normal paint. And step three is obviously going to be to paint it 2 top coats minimum. Because wood is a porous material and we've been using a high pressure jet washer, we're going to be forcing water into that timber, and we want it to be completely dry when we go to paint it. So we're going to leave it for 48 hours at least in warm weather. If it's colder, you need to leave it longer. If it rains, you obviously need to leave it longer. And I'm going to try and avoid people from walking on that nice clean deck by laying down a bit of Corex, some sort of protective layer, and then we can move on to our next step. Okay, so you can see here that the jet washing has removed most of the stain, but there's still remnants of it here, which I'm going to try and get off with a sander. But the first thing I'm going to do is go through with a screwdriver and get rid of things like this, as acorns and seeds and other things that drop down between the gaps. They're going to stop me from being able to paint it. Using my orbital sander with a hoover attached and a 60 grit pad, I'm just going over, trying to get rid of the last remnants of the grey, because any little patches may well show through, and it's also going to smooth out any burrs that have been lifted up by the jet washing. Right, if you can see here, you do have to remove all this stain, because if you see on this bit which I've stained with the new stuff, the old stain's showing through, so it does need to be removed. Now, if you're anal like me and you want to make sure that even the gaps get filled in, you're going to also want to prep that. So you can go around with a little bit of folded up sandpaper and just run it down the grooves of each board. Take you half an hour to do the whole deck. You just literally just run it up and down. Okay, so you're now ready to paint. So the materials and tools you're going to need are obviously your decking paint. In this case, I've gone for the Ronseal Ultimate Protection decking paint. So that's the tin on the left. I'll post a link in the description of that. We've got a paint tray, a paintbrush, and the most important thing is the decking paint applicator pad on a pole. It will save you a ton of time. And also show in a minute how we're going to get down in those gaps. Now, one thing I strongly recommend you do is to stir it, because I'm not sure if this one's so bad, but previous ones I've used, they're not properly mixed and you end up with, it's got like a white base to it. So give this a good old stir before we put it on. Okay, so now you can see as I've applied the stain with the decking pad brush, it's all dripped down in the gaps and it's going to dry like that and look pretty awful. So what we need to do is find a tool that will get down in there. Now, last time I did try using a paintbrush, which was really painful. It took ages and was just not really doing the job. So this time I've got one of these painting pads, folded that in half, and that fits nicely down in the gap and does a nice job of smoothing it out. Otherwise you can use something like a scouring pad. If you haven't done any prep work, I would suggest doing 5 boards at a time. So sand 5, clean it up, and then stain 5, because you've got to be able to reach down into those gaps to do the in between the grooves. And if you're particularly anal like me, you're going to want to paint all those exposed bits of timber between the boards. So that's it, guys. The deck is finished. Going to leave it for 24 hours before we let anybody walk on it. Let the paint harden up, and it should be absolutely fine and rainproof as well. So how long does this project actually take me? Well, as I said, jet washing 3 hours if I really went at it, maybe 4. Cleaning between the boards 1 hour, sanding the deck 3, and then the first and second coat obviously the same, 4 hours a piece. So it's just a little bit less than 2 days work. Give you an idea for 31 square meter deck. Anyway, guys, hope this has been helpful for you. Hope you will try and tackle your own project like this. As I say, you don't have to necessarily blast all the paint off. It'll probably be even quicker for you if you can get away with that without that step, but you do need to do a decent bit of prep before you do the painting. Anyway, we'll see you on the next video, all about building work, sustainability, permaculture, and fixing things so on. We'll see you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye.